Hello everyone, all 22 and a few film review, giving you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class analysis series where we dive deep into all 32 classes, letting you guys know how I feel about every pick according to my big board, who's left on the board positionally, is it a team need, is it a scheme fit, we're going to be talking about projections for starting, and projection for immediate roles if I see that for those players, all that good stuff. So if you want to learn more about the Raiders class, or any of the other 31 classes, make sure you stick around, going through the channel, subscribe and all that good stuff, so you don't miss your favorite team and you can see how all the classes stack up. Now, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Raiders today, my 15th overall class. They have the same grade as the Broncos did in the last class, and they're going to have the same grade as the next class, who's also in the same division of the AFC West. So see if you can guess which team that is down below in the comments. You got a 50-50 shot, pretty good shot. The AFC West was my best drafting AFC division, so unfortunate for the rest of the league considering how good the Chiefs are. The Broncos are kind of on the rise, and the Chargers are starting to pick it up with John Harbaugh and Jesse Minter. Very good division, drafted extremely well. The Raiders get a B+ for me, just like the Broncos did, right on that fringe of getting an A- with a 3.2325 grade. That grade coming to you, that numerical grade coming from an equation I created for you guys, so you guys can have a more concrete feel about how I feel about every single class. I know you can see how different classes with the same letter grade kind of stack up on top of each other. Just a little bit of a extra fun exercise for you guys, something we can come back and look at later, see where I was right, see where I was wrong, see where I can learn, all that good stuff. But a 3.235 rating, a B+, very, very, very good class. Really liked their day 1 and 2. Had a few questions on day 2 and some of their day 3 picks, but again, a very, very good class. I think they hit all their needs that they really needed to. I really wanted them to go after a wide receiver that's more of a true separator or a burner, more of a Z or a deep threat type. I wanted them to go with an IDL to compete and start next to Christian Wilkins, and I wanted them to get corner after all those corners in their room are starting to leave. They brought in Eric Stokes, but not 100% sure Ja'Cory Bennett is an outside starting corner, so need more guys in that room. They hit those needs early and often. Their class consists of Ashton Jeanty, Ashton Jeanty, a running back out of Boise State, Jack Bech, a wide receiver out of TCU, Darian Porter, a corner out of Iowa State, Caleb Rogers, a guard out of Texas Tech, Charles Grant, someone who I think is more of a guard but could still play at tackle. Some people view him more as a tackle, out of William and Mary, Deontay Thornton, a wide receiver out of Tennessee, Tonka Hemingway, an IDL out of South Carolina, JJ Plagues, an IDL out of Ole Miss, Tommy Mellett, a wide receiver converted from quarterback out of Montana State, Cam Miller, a quarterback out of North Dakota State, and Cody Lindenberg, a linebacker out of Minnesota. A lot of picks in this class. They definitely needed all the swings they can get. Again, I really like this class. Very, very nice. We're going to start this with Ashton Jeanty at 6, a running back out of Boise State. I love this pick for them. This was a pick I took in my one and only What I Would Do mock draft series, where I, for 3 rounds, mock drafted what I would do in each round. I took Ashton Jeanty for them at 6. I think it is absolutely perfect for them. Even though I don't think running back is necessarily the biggest need in the world for them, they don't have a ton of high upside guys in there. They bring in Raheem Mostert. He's coming towards the end of his career. Zamir White isn't the highest upside back. They used him a lot last year, and it doesn't seem like they absolutely love him. Ashton Jeanty just immediately raises the floor super highly of that group and the ceiling. This is a guy with top 5 back in the league potential. You've heard everything about Ashton Jeanty. I'm not going to dive too deep into him, but my favorite back was the 4th player on my board, was worthy of a top 10 selection in this class to me. I only saw 4 dudes worthy of a true top 10 type of talent. I think they would go in the top 10 of an average draft. If you have 10 drafts, they're going top 10 and more than half of them. Ashton Jeanty is that type of player to me. It was the 4th player on my big board, my first running back. Great. Also, considering they brought in Geno Smith, they need to help him and get a run game in front of him. Geno Smith is at his best when he can play through a run game, when those linebackers are sucking up, when he can get players open with play action. That's when he's at his best. That's when Geno is in his flow state. He's thriving. When you take away his running back, when you take away his running game, and he has to truly drop back a lot in a game, that's where you start to see kind of the errant decisions and some of the errant throws that Geno starts to make. You need a run game in front of him. to keep him humming, to keep that flow going. Ashton Jeanty is going to take up so much attention. Absolutely beautiful. A 5'8.5", 211-pound running back, super thick, super stocky, short, low center of gravity, hard to take down. This guy bounces off of everybody. Going to be 22 during his rookie season, kind of the later end of that rookie season. Had 2,601 rushing yards, just shy of Barry Sanders' record, which is crazy. 29 rushing touchdowns, 7.0 yards per carry on 2,601 yards is diabolical. 23 receptions on 33 targets for 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 fumbles. 2 of those fumbles came in the playoff game against Penn State. Don't love to see it coming against Penn State, considering, a lot of people are going to knock him for playing at a lower level of competition at Boise State. He still had a great game against Penn State. That guy was fighting for his life. If you watch that film, he was doing everything he could. Outside of that game, only had 2 fumbles on the season. I'm not 100% worried about it. Again, something he is going to have to work on. He doesn't really have a lot of things to work on, so if that's kind of the only thing he needs to focus on, I think he can do it 100%. Not worried about him playing at Boise State. Did absolutely great against Oregon as well. Was the only reason they were in that game. Very good back. A 2024 first-team All-American, the Doak Walker Award winner for best running back in the nation. Led the FBS in all-purpose yards and yards per carry. Insane player, man. Insane. Just, if you haven't watched Ashton Jeanty, go watch him. He's different. Absolutely different. Their next pick, they go Jack Besh, a wide receiver out of TCU with the 58th pick, 26th pick of the second round. Getting this from a trade down with the Texans, sending over 48, which they did also get from a trade down that we're going to talk about later, over to the Texans for 58 and 99. Love this trade for them, man. They needed swings. You moved back only 10 spots to pick up another third that allowed you to take a great selection, in my opinion, later. They also needed wide receiver really badly. Like I said earlier, that was one of the needs that I really wanted them to get. That being said, Jack Besh isn't necessarily the greatest fit in terms of the wide receiver I wanted them to get. Jakobi Meyers, one of the best contested catch wide receivers in the league over the last couple years. That guy does great work, just in contested one-on-one situations, getting hit over the middle, all that good stuff. He does a lot of his damage from the slot too. Now, Jack Besh basically is that. Don't 100% trust him on the outside. He did struggle not having a lot of nuanced releases and struggling against press. Now, he has the size, he has the athleticism, he has the strength to be able to learn that. It's just not a part of his game right now. I trust him a lot more as a slot guy. Also not a great separator versus man, but super good at getting lost against zone. Insanely good hands, insanely short hands, can catch over the middle and, getting rocked by linebackers with guys striped over him, all that good stuff. Contested catches, up in the air, all that good stuff. One of the best yak threats in this entire class. Get the ball in his hands. This guy just takes off. He's shifty, shows a lot of different moves, runs extremely angry. Very fun player to watch. Now, that being said, I think he's extremely redundant to Jakobi Meyers. I do think he comes in and slots in as their number 2 receiver immediately. They have Jakobi Meyers. They have Trey Tucker, who's kind of more of a gadget type. They're bringing Colin Johnson, who's more of just kind of like a big body, red zone, kind of put him on the outside and kind of just try to throw him up and see if you can bring down the ball type of receiver. They need some burners. They need some actual true separators. And I don't think Jack is a true separator, even though he is a great separator against zone coverage. Good at manipulating hips, manipulating space, finding space and sitting in it, all that good stuff. I just wish they went with more of a Z-type. I think there was better Z-types on the board. Jalen Noel falls really far to the third. I think he would have been an insanely good fit for this team. Insanely good. Still a very good receiver. Like I said, I think he slots in as their number 2 receiver right away. He has all the chops to be able to learn to play on the outside. He just needs to learn how to do it. It's not a part of his game right now. Was my 70th player on the big board. My 8th overall receiver my 10th overall receiver, the 8th one taken off the board. So there was a couple guys that I think could have went ahead of him. I think this is good value for him. I viewed him as a late second, maybe sliding to the early third if someone wasn't in love with him. So I think it is good value for him positionally. I don't think it's terrible, just not the best fit in my opinion. They could have got with a lot better fits. Don't know how he's going to fit on the field because I think he does his best work from the slot, and I think he's a little bit redundant to Jakobi Meyers' skill set. but still a very good receiver. He's going to be very good for this team. We'll see if he can play on the outside. That's really the only question I have with him coming to the Raiders. I gave it an A-. Again, a very good pick. I think it's around his value. The trade definitely bumps up that grade a little bit. Probably more of a B+ because he is redundant to Jacoby Myers, but still a very good pick in my opinion. 6'1", 214-pound receiver, big boy, going to be 23 towards the end of his rookie season. Had a 9.51 RAS, which was a shock to me. I thought he was a very good athlete. Thought he moved very well in short area, but I did not expect a 9.51. So you love to see that for him. Had 62 receptions on 91 targets for 1,034 yards this season, 9 touchdowns, 16.7 yards per catch, which is great. Only 1 drop on 91 targets is great as well. Was a 2024 second-team Big 12 selection in his first year as a true starter. So you love to see that production for him as in his first year, as that true starting receiver for them. Very good pick. Again, an A- for me. With their next pick, they go Darian Porter, a cornerback out of Iowa State with the 68th pick, the 4th pick of the 3rd round. This got an A+ for me. I absolutely love it. Like I said, they need an outside corner that can compete for them right away. I think Darian Porter does that. Was my the 52nd player on my big board, my 7th overall corner, and was the 7th one taken off the board. So in terms of big board value, I think it's great. In terms of positional value, I think he was the best guy on the board that you could have gotten. A 6'3", 195-pound corner, full-sized, extremely long, absolute freak of an athlete, had a 9.99 RAS, and you see it on tape. This man absolutely flies. He should not be able to move the way he does for 6'3", 195. Now, is a first-year starter at corner and transition to corner after being a wide receiver at Iowa State. You might be thinking, this guy's already 24, going to be 25 by the time the season ends. How is he a first-year starter? Came in as a wide receiver, and they just kept this man on special teams throughout his whole career. Now, he is an elite special teamer. This man flies down the field on special teams, had 5 blocked kicks in the last 4 years, including 2 blocked kicks this last year. This man gives his will and absolute all on every play. You love to see it. He is just an absolute motor. And for a first-year corner, his kind of 3rd year after the transition and 1st year starting, he doesn't look like it, man. If you just watched this tape and I didn't tell you that he was a first-year corner, you wouldn't be able to tell. For a first-year player, very, very clean tape. Now, still a bit raw. There is some downsides to his game. There is a reason he is at 68. But for a first-year player, his tape looked a lot better than some other corners in this class. Very nice ball production as well in his first year starting at 3 interceptions, 2 PBUs. And this was something that I thought was a typo, but everywhere I looked had the same information, and I was just absolutely flabbergasted, blown away. 4.7 passer rating allowed when targeted coverage. 4.7. 4.7. Some of the best cornerbacks we've talked about in this class were in the 30s, and I still said that was exceptional. 4.7. Led the entire FBS. Absolutely insane for his first year as a starter. Also had 2 PBUs, 18 tackles, and 2 TFLs. I love Darian Porter. I think this is a great pick. A great fit in their scheme as well. He can play in a little bit off. He has the eyes to be able to do it. He has the length to play press, even though he needs to work on the timing and, moving his feet with his hands fluently. It's all there for him, man. He should compete for a starting role right away. And even if he doesn't, he should start next year and all those years down the line that he can, because you just don't find this length, this athleticism, especially this ball production and this good of tape and a first-year corner. The sky is the limit for this guy. A+ for me. Absolutely love this pick for them. Their next pick, they go Caleb Rogers, a guard out of Texas Tech, with the 98th pick, the 34th pick of the 3rd round. Getting this as part of a trade down with the Dolphins. They sent over 37 and 143. They get back 48, 98, and 135. Like we said earlier, using 48 to trade back to 58 to pick up 99. Love the way they manipulated this board. Now, Caleb Rogers, this was definitely early for me. I gave this a B-. He was 122 on my big board. Viewed him as more of a late or mid to late 4th round guy, more of an athletic project type. My 13th overall interior offensive line was the 10th one taken off the board. I definitely think there was better guys ahead of him, and we're going to talk about one of those guys very soon. But I could understand at the very, very back end of this of the third round, trying to take a guy with this athletic upside. Had a 9.68 RAS. Definitely moves very well. 6'5", 312. He's got a good size. Just thought he was very raw. Doesn't marry his hands with his feet well in pass pro. Doesn't move people very well. In the Senior Bowl, one-on-ones, did not look particularly great. Again, I thought this was just a bit early for me. Now, he is going to compete for that left guard spot right away with Jordan Meredith. So I absolutely can't hate it in that sense. But not 100% sure he's going to win that guard spot year one. Maybe year two or year three if he can develop. But again, I just thought this was a bit early for me. Going to be 24 during his rookie season on 610 pass blocks, had 4 sacks allowed, 4 hits, and 14 hurries, which is not good from an interior spot. A 2-time Big 12 honorable mention and a 4-year starter, which you definitely love to see. Just would have loved to see him take that next step up with that much starting experience. Has starts at left tackle, left guard, and right tackle, so you love to see that versatility for them. I think he is more of a true guard. I think he does compete for that left guard spot right away. So still a good pick, just not my favorite one. I thought you could have waited here. I thought there were better guys on the board. Is a B- for me. Now, their next pick, they go Charles Grant out of William and Mary. Like I said earlier, someone who I view more as a guard, but still has the chops and the length to be able to play on the outside. Taken with the 99th pick, the 35th pick of the third round. Got this from the trade down with the Texans, sending over 48 for 58 and 99. This would be an A+ for me if they didn't take Caleb Rogers with their last pick. Now, like I said, I had a few guys ahead of him of Caleb Rogers. Charles Grant was one of those guys, as I view him as a interior guy. He would be my 10th overall interior lineman, and he was the 11th one taken off the board. He would be my 8th overall tackle if you graded him as a tackle, and he was the 9th one taken off the board. So I think it's great positional value. He was my 106th player on the board. I viewed him as more of a late third round guy, maybe an early fourth, but the chops he has, I feel like you got to take him somewhere in the third. Getting him with the 35th pick in the third, again, good value, big board wise, exceptional value. Positionally, I think it's absolutely great. I think he's a great fit for them. Not only are they trying to build a more athletic line, but I think he can compete and win that left guard spot if you really wanted him to. Or if you viewed him more as a right tackle, I think he's going to compete with DJ Glaze on that right tackle side right away. Now, it seems like they like DJ Glaze, a third round pick out of last year. Definitely didn't play too terribly. But I think Charles Grant just has way more upside, man. I really like Charles Grant. I think he can compete on that right tackle side. That is part of the reason why I would have given this an A+ if it wasn't for Caleb Rogers going right away, because he has more flexibility, in my opinion. Someone who's 6'5", 311, has the arm length to play tackle, needs to put on a little bit of weight, especially moving up from William Mary to the NFL. Now, the reason why I viewed him more as a guard, less of a tackle, is he does scare me a little bit around the edge against NFL talent. He is a very good athlete. I was really, really shocked to see him have a 5.79 RAS because he moved extremely well. Now, it was against, the level of competition William Mary was playing, but still, this guy was from the left tackle, reaching and getting under 3 techs. Like, he was moving light years quicker than anyone on the field in terms of linemen. So I was very surprised to see the 5.79, but still, very good athlete. Like I said, worries me around the edge a little bit because his hands come out late consistently and on the outside consistently, which invites people into his chest. Now, he does have a good anchor. He does anchor and set well when people get into his chest, but against NFL level talent, he's going to be facing a lot more power coming out of those bull rushes. Those get-offs are going to be quicker. People are going to be landing their hands inside on him quicker. So he does need to learn and develop in that sense. He does need to clean up his handwork, but still, very good mover, extreme will, very technical in terms of his feet around the edge. Just needs to work with his hands, but still a very good pick. Like I said, would have been an A+ for me if they didn't take Caleb Rogers, but, since they took Caleb Rogers, probably means they are going to use him as a right tackle. Probably going to compete. Don't know if he's going to win that job over DJ Glaze in year one. It's going to take a lot of willing in training camp, but it's possible for him, man. It is definitely possible. Going to be 23 throughout his rookie season. Like I said, 6'5", 311, 5.79 RAS. On 372 pass block snaps this season, allowed 2 sacks, 1 hit, and 6 hurries. A little bit concerning from the FCS level. You'd like to see true domination, but 2 sacks on the left tackle, that's not a lot. 2024 first team FCS All-American. and a 2-time first-team CAA selection for his conference in 2024 and 2022. A 3-year starter over at that left tackle spot. I like him a lot, man. This was good value for him. Just wish he had a clear start to spot at, or a clear kind of path to start at guard for them. Like him at guard more than tackle, but I still think he's got the chops to play tackle, so we'll see how it works out for him. Their next pick, they go Dante Thornton, a wide receiver out of Tennessee, with the 108th pick, the 6th pick of the 4th round. This got and I like it. Also, as we get into these day 3 selections, again, the day 3 grades are a little bit different than the day 1 and day 2 grades. Day 1 and day 2 are going to be graded on a grade scale. They're going to be a lot harsher grades as teams kind of go more for BPA and BPA for need. They're going to be judged a little bit harder. There's going to be a little bit kind of worse reaches, in my opinion. Now on day 3, teams have a much different vision. They're much more trying to fill in aspects of roles. Guys that can maybe compete farther down the line, but not immediately. Just adding roles to rooms, whether it's a deep threat wide receiver in a room that doesn't have a lot of burning speed, whether it's a big run-stuffing interior on a team that lacked against the run. Maybe it's a box safety that, maybe isn't a true starting safety, but can be more of a box safety if you run a 3-safety system, kind of stuff like that. You're filling aspects of your position room. You're not necessarily going for BPA. Now, this is the quintessential kind of example here. Like I said earlier, they really need speed at the wide receiver room. They really need someone who can burn, who can move down the field, who can keep those safeties honest. Dante Thornton, 6'5", 205 pound, runs 4.3. Led the entire FBS in yards per catch with 25. This is the deep threat. This is the deep threat. This was a bit early for me for Thornton. I thought he was more of a mid to late 4th round guy, maybe a 5th round guy, but still I don't hate the value here, especially considering there was an absolute run on deep threats early in the 4th. A few spots ahead of him, Chamir Dyke goes, and 2 spots after him, Arian Smith goes. So if you wanted to get your deep threat, you had to get him here. You weren't going to be able to get him later. You wait till 33rd pick of the 4th round, you can get Keandre Lambert-Smith, but he isn't a 6'5", 205, 4.3 running receiver. So I understand if you want to get Dante Thornton at this spot because that's exceptional upside. Going to be 23 throughout his rookie season, 9.85 RAS, very athletic tester, had very explosive jumping numbers. Like I said, ran a 4.3. The upside is all there for them. If he can hit his upside, this is a true starting outside receiver for you. Now, really needs to work on the nuances of the receiver position in terms of release packages, in terms of bend, in terms of stem, in terms of manipulating hips, in terms of getting lost in space. He's much more of just, I'm faster, I'm bigger than you, I can get past you, and I can get that ball. And that's what they need right now. So I absolutely don't hate that. 26 receptions on 34 targets, 661 yards for 6 touchdowns. Like I said, 25.4 yards per catch. Led the entire FBS in yards per catch. So now they have the yards per catch leader. They have the yards per carry leader. Love that for that, man. Love that for this team. Getting all the athletic, high upside guys. You could see it in all their RAS scores down the board. 9.51, 9.99, 9.68, 5.79, but very athletic on tape. 9.85, 9.46. They're getting dudes with high upside in. They need it. I like it a lot for them. Like I said, it was a bit early for me, but they really, really need a deep threat. This is the highest upside deep threat probably in the entire class, so can't hate it. Can't hate it at all. Was never a true starter at Tennessee, which is very interesting to see. Never had a majority of a season starting, so very interesting to see, but man, 25 point yards per catch, 4.3 at 6'5". I see it 100%. Their next pick, they go Tonka Hemingway, an IDL out of South Carolina, with the 135th pick, the 33rd pick of the 4th round. More of a pass rush type at 6'3", 284, definitely undersized. Now, like I said, I wanted them to go IDL in this class. This is one of their biggest needs, in my opinion. I wanted them to get more of a 3-down type guy next to Christian Wilkins. I think you could have done that somewhere in the 3rd. A little bit unfortunate they waited this long to get an interior D-line guy. They do bring in Leki Fotu. They have Adam Butler. Forgetting the name of the last guy they have in that room, I'm sorry. None of those guys really move the needle 100%, Now, I do think Tonka Hemingway has more pass rush upside than any of those guys, so I do understand bringing him in. I think this is a guy who's going to have a role right away, so I absolutely don't hate it at all. Don't think he's going to have a lot of snaps early, or like on early downs. Don't think he might ever be a true three-down starter for this team, but he should rotate in early and often as a pass rusher, on second and long, in 2-minute, on third down situations, in blitz packages. I'm expecting him to get a solid amount of snaps, and so I really like that for this team. Like I said, really wish they would have gone with a 3-down type of guy here, but this is good value for Tonka Hemingway. Thought he was a late 4th, early 5th type of guy, so around his value. Pass rush upside, more pass rush upside than most of the dudes they have in their room right now. So I do think he has a role slotted out for them. So it's an I like it. Not an I love it, but I like it. I really think this is a very solid pick for them. That's going to get a lot of snaps. Not a lot of snaps, but a lot of situational snaps, I should say, for this team. Again, 6'3", 285, going to be 24 in his rookie season, 9.46 RAS. So even with the lack of weight, he's still putting up great testing numbers. You love to see it. Had 4 sacks, 6 hurries, 25 tackles, 1 PBU, and 1 forced fumble on the season. Had 2 years as a true starter, which was very interesting because in 2023 he didn't have the majority of the starting snaps, or at least starts in games, but started in 2022 and 2024. Very interesting. No accolades in those 3 years, which you don't love to see, but athletic, kind of pass rush upside. Don't hate it at all. This league, don't hate it at all. Their next pick, they go J.J. Plagues, an IDL out of Ole Miss with the 180th pick, the 4th pick of the 6th round. This guy, and I love it. I thought he was more of an early 5th type guy, someone who could maybe sneak into the 4th. So getting him in the 6th, I think this is great value for them. Also, this is an early down type lineman, someone with potential 3-down upside. So again, like I said, I wanted them to get a potential 3-down guy, someone who can at least compete for that starting job next to him. I think he does compete for early down snaps very, very soon. Don't 100% know if he wins that job, but I think he's very safe to make this roster in general. I think he's going to get some very nice rotational snaps, even if they're just early down snaps. I like J.J. Plagues a lot, man. Has some athletic upsides, has some movement. They use him as a fullback over at Ole Miss. Didn't test well, though, with 4.82 RAS, but it's 6'2.5", 309. You're bringing him in to be more of a 2-eye, 3-tech to 4-eye, play on that 4-2-5 type of line, kind of 4-3 line when they go in their base. Very, very good scheme fit, in my opinion. Works very well for them. I think he can compete for that job right away in terms of, first, second down. Really, really, really like this for them, man. 3.5 sacks, 5 hurries, 13.5 TFLs on the season, 42 tackles, 1 PBU. Was a 2024 third-team SEC selection and a 2-year starter over at Ole Miss. Really like this guy a lot, man. I think he should have went a lot sooner. Someone with a good upside, to be a 3-down type guy. There's not a lot of guys at this spot that are able to do that. I think he has the possibility to do that. Wouldn't be surprised if he takes that job sooner or later, man. Really, really like J.J. Plagues. Their next pick, they go Tommy Mellett, a wide receiver out of Montana State, a quarterback to wide receiver convert, played quarterback at Montana State. With the 213th pick, the 37th pick of the 6th round. This got an I like it pick. Now, closer to I see the vision, especially because this is their 3rd wide receiver. This is a quarterback to wide receiver convert. That at 5'11", 200, this is a very sturdy wide receiver build. You could trust him potentially on the outside if he can grow into those chops. You can get him some gadget snaps, some, screens, short kind of end around, stuff like that, because he has 4.3 speed at 5'11", 200. He's more built like a running back, honestly. So absolutely like this for them. Now, their 3rd wide receiver drafted in this class, still think he is super safe to make this roster. Any other team would have been much more questioning this selection. But I think he 100% makes this roster. Like I said, they have Trey Tucker, they have Jacoby Myers, they have Colin Johnson. Outside of that, it's Alex Bachman, and I'm forgetting that last dude's name, but no one you're really slotting in to 100% make that roster. I think this guy 100% does, as just a super athletic upside gadget type. If you have a ton of injuries in your quarterback room, maybe this guy can come in and play. Absolutely love this, or not love this, but like this for them. A little bit early for me for this type of a project, but they only have 2 more picks after this pick, and they're all in the next 9 total selections. Their last pick is at 222. This pick's at 213. So if you want this guy in your room, you don't want to risk him being taken in the 7th, and he is kind of your top guy on the board. I understand it. Again, I like it. This guy has a ton of upside, a ton of juice, a ton of yak ability. Going to a room where there's not a ton of receivers, even though they just drafted 2 of them, and I think he has a different skill set than Jack Besh and Deontay Thornton. So, again, I like it. I think he definitely fills out that receiver room in a very good mold. Hopefully he can hit that upside and be a decent wide receiver convert. Doesn't always happen, but at the 37th pick in the 6th round, and you don't have, very many selections left and any selections in kind of late in the 7th, I'm fine with it. I like it. Again, 9.28 RAS, ran a 4.3. This dude can fly. No receiving stats as he wasn't a receiver over at Montana State. Again, I like it. Their next pick, they go Cam Miller, a quarterback out of North Dakota State with the 39th pick of the 6th round, pick 215. This guy and I could see the vision. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, as these kind of grades are different on day 3 based on I love it, I like it, I see the vision, or I don't get it. All that is in the description. If you're confused on any of that, it's in the description. If you're confused on anything you're seeing in your board in general, in terms of abbreviations, what I mean by BBR, what I mean by PTR/PR, all that good stuff, it's in the description. If you have any questions and it's not in the description, come yell at me in the comments, talk with me in the comments in general. I love conversing with you guys, loving hearing your guys' thoughts. But if you're confused, it's going to be in there. So go take a look over at that. Now, this gets an I see the vision. Again, I think Aiden O'Connell is probably one of the best, if not the best, backup quarterback in the league, especially considering the amount of playing time he's had with the Raiders, the amount of years he's spent there. He knows that organization. He knows those receivers. He knows those players. I think, if he has to come in and start some games, you're not worried about it at all. So I don't love them taking a quarterback here. More than likely going to be their 3rd quarterback. Not going to take a 46 active game day roster, but still going to take a roster spot. Also, considering who's left on the board in Curtis Rourke and Quinn Ewers, I think those guys are a lot safer than Cam Miller. Cam Miller, a very fun, flashy FCS quarterback. 6'1", 210, not the best size for a quarterback. Going to be 24 in his rookie year. 6.08 RAS, but he could definitely move a little bit. Now, this is where he gets exciting. 33 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3,251 yards, 73.5% completion percentage, 9.2 yards per attempt, which is great, and 127.4 passer rating, which is very nice. A 2024 FCS second-team All-American, first-team Missouri Valley Football Conference selection, and the Missouri Valley Football Conference Offensive Player of the Year. In terms of getting an FCS quarterback, this is probably the FCS quarterback you're going to be able to get. But again, Aiden O'Connell, I think, is very, very nice backup. I think you should work to re-sign him long-term as your backup. This tells me they don't want to pay him a second contract. They're going to let him walk, and this is their second quarterback of the future. I think Curtis Rourke and Quinn Ewers would have been better for them in that role, a little bit safer. Again, I see the vision. I thought this was more of a late 7th, maybe an undrafted, kind of fun UDFA type. In the 39th pick of the 6th round, I don't hate it. Again, it isn't an I don't get a pick, just an I see the vision. A little bit early. There are better quarterbacks on the board. I really like Aiden O'Connell as a backup. I think you could have went more impactful ways for your team with this spot. Their next pick, they go Cody Lindenberg, their last pick of the draft, a linebacker out of Minnesota. Pick 222, the 6th pick of the 7th round. I like this for them. Now, linebacker wasn't one of their main needs I wanted them to go after, but definitely a kind of position I wanted them to draft in this class. They bring in a Landon Roberts, who's a very nice early down piece at linebacker, but that's all you're really going to want to trust him to do. You don't want him on 3rd downs covering people in space. Devin White can fly all over the field, can, blitz very well, but there's a real reason he's bounced around a ton of teams in the league since being let go from the Bucs. Not very consistent on a down-to-down basis. Doesn't get off blocks well. Not great in pass coverage. So you need more dudes in that room. They have Tommy Eichenberg, who they also took last year in the 5th. Not 100% sure if you're comfortable with him starting yet, or how you view him in general. They just need linebacker depth overall. Cody Lindenberg is great depth. In the 7th round, to get a guy who's 6'2", 236 with an 8.17 RAS is great in my opinion. More of a full-size linebacker in a day and age of the NFL where, 6'4", 240 linebackers or 6'3", 245-pound, 250-pound linebackers are kind of ceasing to exist. 6'2", 236 is some of the best size you're going to be able to find, especially this late in the class. 8.17 RAS, so he has the athletic upside to be a starting linebacker in this league. Now, has a ton of time or a ton of room to be able to get to that point. Needs to work on tackling, needs to work at seeing the game at a faster pace, needs some work in pass pro. But again, all the size, all the athleticism to compete for and perhaps win a starting job down the line. They don't have anyone in this room that really moves the needle for me too much. I think he is immediately going to come in and compete for that third linebacker spot. Now, not 100% sure if he's going to win it, but I do think he's going to compete for it. And getting a guy who's going to compete for, honestly, significant snaps if he is the third linebacker in the 7th, with a guy with potential to maybe be more, again, I think that's great for them. And I like a pick. Again, 6'2", 236, 23.4, going to be 24 towards the end of his rookie year, a 1.7 RAS. Very nice tester, moved pretty decently well. Had 94 tackles on the season, 5 TFLs, 1 interception, 6 PBUs, 1 sack, and 14 missed tackles. So you definitely don't like to see that missed tackle amount. That's probably why he's fallen down the 7th. But that ball production from the linebacker spot, especially given to Landon Roberts, who is not a pass coverage type guy, even though I think he has some, Cody Lindenberg has some room to work in pass coverage. Honestly, I would not be surprised if he came in as their sub linebacker, as more an athletic type for them with some ball production. If he can kind of learn how to mold that earlier than later, especially in a room with not very good pass coverage in terms of linebacker play, he's going to get some snaps early and often, and that's very good for the 7th. A 2024 first-team Big Ten selection and a 2-year starter. Again, very solid pick. I like it. This was the Raiders class. Again, a very, very, very good class to me. A B+, right on the end of that kind of B+ rating, almost getting to an A-, a 3.2325 grade. Again, that grade, same as the last class with the Broncos, going to be the same as the next class, the same team in the same division. So you got a 50-50 on guessing who that is. Please comment down below so you can try to get it right. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I'll run through the class just really quickly again. Ashton Jeanty, super good, man. Just adds so much value to this team immediately. Jack Besh, I like the player a lot. I think it's a good value, but redundant, extremely redundant to what Jakobi Meyers does. So I'm interested to see how they use him. Interested to see if he can mold to an outside type guy. Jarian Porter, absolutely insane value to me. Someone who should be your starting corner of the future, even if he doesn't win that job year one. All the length, all the athleticism, all the upside in the world. Caleb Rogers, super high athletic upside, was very early for me. A little bit scared. Don't know if he wins that starting guard spot in year one. Charles Grant, good value for me. Very, very good positional value for me. Someone with the chops to be able to play tackle, but I think is more of a guard. I think he can compete for that left guard spot over Caleb Rogers if you view him more as a guard. The fact that they took Caleb Rogers the pick before makes me think he's more of a tackle. I think he competes with DJ Glaze. Probably takes that job over in the latter half of the year or down the line. I think he's got a lot more upside. Just needs to hit it coming out of William and Mary. Dante Thornton, a wide receiver out of Tennessee. Absolute burner deep threat at 6'5", 205, 4.3 speed. 25.4 yards per catch is incredible. This team needed deep speed, so I like it for them. Don't hate it at all. Tonka Hemingway, more of a pass rush, undersized kind of role player, but getting that at the very back end of the 4th in a room that doesn't have a lot of pass rush upside outside of Christian Wilkins, I like it. Their next pick, J.J. Blakes out of Ole Miss, someone they can kind of get versatile with maybe on offense as well, which is pretty fun. But at this spot in the 6th, someone that can compete right away for early down snaps, I think is very, very valuable. I like this pick a lot for them. Tommy Mellett, super sturdy, athletic receiver build, a convert from quarterback over to wide receiver. So definitely more of a project. But in this room where they don't have a lot of wide receivers, the only ones you're really thinking are slated to take a roster spot are Trey Tucker, Jakobi Meyers, and Colin Johnson. So I think there's more than enough room for him to slide in on this roster and make this team. Cam Miller, didn't love this pick. I think Aiden O'Connell is one of the best backups in the league. I think you should work on keeping him around here long term as your backup. But I understand if you want to get cheaper, you bring in another guy. Just don't necessarily love the pick here. Cody Lindenberg, with their last pick, I think immediately comes in to compete for LB3. Has a real shot to be their sub linebacker at some point during this season. Wouldn't be surprised if he took that job at some point during the season and was their sub linebacker going forward. For those more of those pass coverage type snaps. Really like that fit and that pick for them in the 7th. A very good class. If you guys enjoyed, please let me know. Like it. Let me know what you thought, whether it's good or bad. Let me know what you think about anything you're seeing on your screen, anything about my analysis. If you really enjoyed and want to hear more about any of the other classes down the line, make sure you subscribe, make sure you stick around as we get through all the classes here. I really appreciate all the support, really appreciate just anyone even getting to this point in the video. It means way more than me than you guys can ever know. Started doing this in March and already getting around 50 to 70 views a video, and that's better than I thought I was going to be doing. So I really appreciate it, guys. I really do. Thank you guys, and I hope you have a great day.